For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nora Smith. I'm the Chief Executive of CO3. Delighted to welcome you to our Path to Impact information session. Path to Impact is a big lottery funded programme that we launched in January of this year. From memory, I think it is the 22nd of January. And the response to the programme has been really positive, so we're absolutely delighted with it. So I'm going to give you the big picture context. I'll run through the agenda quite quickly here. Delighted to have Dr. John Brothers, one of our partners, who's going to give us a detailed overview, if that doesn't sound like an oxymoron, of the core capacity assessment tool, the CCAT, as it's known for short. One of my board members, every time I say CCAT, they keep thinking of the ferry. It's not the ferry, it's an online diagnostic tool. Kerry Anthony, the Chief Executive of DePaul, has used CCAT a number of times, so she's going to share her individual, her motivation and her experience of using this tool. Then I'm going to outline what the commitment is. For us, a big element of this programme is the commitment of the organisations that we select as part of this programme. The bad news is we can only work with 50 organisations in Northern Ireland and 50 organisations in Scotland. But for us, it has to be a partnership of the willing. So the commitment that is required of you is really important. And we'll outline that as we go through today. We're going to be throwing quite a bit of information at you as well. So we're going to allow some time for you to have informal discussion amongst yourselves, just to digest the information. And then if you have any questions or queries, then you can come back and we will certainly address those. If at the end of the session you're walking back to the office or driving back to the office and think, I should have asked about X, Y, or Z, just follow up with us. The majority of you should have our contact details at this point. So in terms of the high-level outcomes, what we want to achieve from this programme, this is a conversation that I've been having with Big Lottery since my tenure in CO3, which is 2 years in a couple of weeks' time, and it was a conversation that I'd inherited from my predecessor. So we were delighted to finally see the funding come through for this, and we launched that in January. There are 3 partners involved: ourselves, CO3, ACOSVO, the Association of Chief Officers of Scottish Voluntary Organisations, and I'm delighted that we have some of our colleagues from ACOSVO here today. If you want to give a wee wave. So ACOSVO and ourselves, we're selecting the 50 organisations and working in parallel. And the third partner is Dr. John Brothers. And John is, he's been connected to CO3 since 2012 when he came over to speak at the conference. And John has used this CCAT, the core capacity assessment tool, with hundreds, if not thousands, of organisations in the United States. So John is our expert, and John will provide that overview with us today. For us, it's about building the capacity of the sector so that we have a resilient, high-impact sector. And this pilot is an opportunity for us to really get into depth with this online capacity tool to develop an evidence-based approach which we can then contribute to creating a more sustainable sector. At an individual level, it's going to provide intelligent information for your organisation, and then at a wider level, on a regional level, what we'll be able to do is to identify what the trends are, what are the areas where there's specific areas of focus. And for us, this will help to inform funders moving forward, both independent trusts, our government departments, and other funders that we all access money from. And it's a really important resource for infrastructure organisations such as ourselves as well, for us to identify the future support needs that we can offer to the sector as we move forward. So we've got really high-level, ambitious outcomes that we want to achieve. We absolutely believe that we have the ability to do that through this programme, but as I've said, it will require the commitment of the organisations that we are working with. So our ambition today is that you leave this room around 12-ish with a better understanding of why the CCAT tool is important, why the scan is important for your own individual organisation, will outline what the role and the commitment is of CO3. I'm just noticing there's people come in. There's some benches up at the front. I'm going to embarrass you all. He's come in late.
No one wants to sit on
And again, we'll be outlining what the role and the commitment is of the 50 organisations that we are going to be working with. We'll try to make this, but we will make this as interactive as possible. For us, it's about you getting clarity on what the core capacity assessment tool is, how the data will be used, and issues around confidentiality. And I know this has been a concern for some members around the confidentiality with the data that will be produced as part of this. So we'll alleviate those concerns as well. And then again about what your role is as a potential participant. And it's also going to provide you with an opportunity to ask any questions, and we'll make that as interactive as possible. And as well to get to know the potential participants that you'll be working with as we move through this programme, because the peer learning and the knowledge exchange is going to be a really important element of the programme, and we'll go into that in more detail shortly. Before I pass you over to John, I want to highlight as well, in parallel to working with the 50 organisations in Northern Ireland and in Scotland, we're also commissioning a piece of research, and we see this as a really powerful piece of research which will capture the capacity strengths, the capacity needs of our sector in our region, and be able to do analysis looking at sub-region, locality and organisational turnover. And as well as that, this will be the first time, well, to the best of my knowledge, that a comparative analysis will be done, the capacity needs of between Scotland and Northern Ireland. So that's unique. That's unique, and it's really exciting in terms of the research element of it. And the research, as part of the knowledge exchange events and the one-to-ones, the research will be sitting in on some of those sessions as well. So that's just a very quick overview of what the research element is going to be. This is our plan as it stands at the minute. So we will, there's still an opportunity. I know the majority of people have registered their interest, but not everybody. And we are still actively promoting it. We hope to have all of the organisations selected by early April, with the intention then of sending out the CCAT assessments from the week beginning the 15th of April. In between then, we will be sending you friendly nudges to remind you to complete them. We can check in online to see how many have completed, and if need be, then we can give you a quick elbow to say, just to remind you, only 5 of your board or 10 of your board have completed this. The one-to-one meetings then, following on from the report, you get a copy of the report, and we, prior to going into the one-to-one with you, we'll sit down and go through an analysis of it. And the one-to-one is a really important element of the programme, because we've all been there before. We get fancy reports, we know what we need to do, but it's the how, it's the next step, it's how we can strengthen our organisational capacity on the areas that the report is telling us we need to focus on. So we do the one-to-one, and that will be a detailed one-to-one, and then you'll have the ongoing support of CO3 as we go on. Then our plan is to have a first learning exchange event around September, October time. So this will be running in parallel. So our counterparts in Scotland will be working at the same time frame as ourselves. So we reckon to hope to have about 25 in each session. And if you're really keen, you could attend both of those. And what we'll do is have one Belfast and then one with on a more rural location. We plan to have a conference then in 2017 to present the initial findings. So we're going to have 50 organisations that have completed the CCAT, they'll have had their one-to-one, they'll have had their action plans. So we'll be able to present that information in aggregate. So we'll be inviting funders, government officials, politicians to that, so we can highlight to them, these are the capacity strengths, and these are the capacity areas that need support and need development. And it'll be a really important tool for us as an infrastructure organisation, so that we can tailor our support to you to make sure that we're providing the support that you need as a leader of your organisation. Then you retake the CCAT 18 months later, and again we go through exactly the same process. So we get the report, we nudge you if we need to, we do the one-to-one, we come up with a new action plan, and then we have the learning exchange events. So it's an ongoing programme, so it does require a commitment from the 50 organisations. There's no financial cost to your organisation, but there will be a time factor. There will be, so it is about making that commitment, which is really important. And then our intention is to have a all singing, all dancing final conference at the end of November, where we will have this robust report, which will be able to do the comparison between the two regions, and also a more detailed comparison of organisational turnover, subsector, location, what are the trends, what are the challenges, what are the strengths. So that's our indicative timeline, just so that everybody is aware of what the commitment is involved. Why I've always operated on a no surprises policy. It's about managing everybody's expectations of the programme from the outset.